Siim Sikkut led the digital government and digital policy area of the government of Estonia for 10 years, most recently as the government CIO. As a serial entrepreneur in the public sector, he was also one of the founding fathers of Estonia's groundbreaking e-residency program. Siim has recently published the book Digital Government Excellence, documenting his lessons learned from effective digital leaders. As managing partner at Digital Nation, Siim currently advises governments and leaders on digital strategy, the leadership and governance for its delivery, digital service reforms and public sector innovation. And this morning, Siim will share a practical strategic view on why Europe needs interoperability perhaps more than ever in this age of artificial intelligence, and also why interoperability and semantic work are crucial for the AI age itself. So may you warmly welcome to the stage Siim Sikkut.
Thank you for the kind introductions. Good morning, and indeed, always a pleasure to be in SEMIC crowd and community. So many friends here, so many peers here. So even if I don't get to work on Europe so much these days, still I hope to use this morning for a bit of reflection back. Like you know, like you heard, I've had the luxury of serving my government in Estonia for a number of years, and now indeed with Digital Nation we work with a number of government leaders elsewhere. Even if a lot of our work takes us to Africa and other places where the challenges are, I think the topic that we have here today is still where Europe has the biggest stake in the game. I truly mean that. So if we jump forward, what I'll try to do this morning a bit with you is perhaps share three sort of stories and three sort of insights or lessons that I think that at least I learned from them and perhaps others can learn from this. And their stories really, I quite understand, this is a crowd of converted. In a way, they may not be that much news to you unless you take it home and tell it to your bosses. So what I really have taken from this and what has been my career has been a bit on helicopter level, okay? I'm not the guy here to talk about the technical details of how, to get interoperability done for AI, but I believe I've learned a few things, what it takes to be a leader in this space and what leaders should know about this thing. Now, let me start with the first story, and I'll try to a bit dub them. You see too many hashtags in my presentation. I think they help to make things stick. The first story is really about the data really matters. Again, I'm preaching to the converted here, but bear with me. Well, I jump back to year 2013, when it was pretty much, when we met with some of you the first time. So 2013, in Estonia, we were trying to put together the next digital agenda for our country, the next digital government strategy. And we went around and if you're dealing with a strategy, you try to look into the future, you try to understand what's going to be happening so that you can benefit from this or be ready for this. We went around, we spoke to everyone we could in a sense of what's on the horizon. We spoke to some of the renowned experts and consultants in this world. I won't name companies because they will be ashamed otherwise. And we asked them specifically, 2020, is AI going to be a thing we have to account for? And even the most senior guys and sort of people who deep thinkers said, no, that's the stuff for the labs. Don't, do your thing. 2017, I stepped into the shoes of government CIO. AI was in my pocket. So immediately we realized that the job for us, in Estonian government at least, is to review our strategy. And in a way get our act together because AI was there and is there here to stay. So we started working on the first AI strategy that came out. We started actions on the front, stuff like that. We had a very bold ambition, and our ambition was that if anyone in this world is to gain from AI, it has to be Estonia. Why? Because we are small and shrinking. So for us, if we can rely on machines, the better. So we made an attempt to say, hey, let's literally build our government in the future on AI. That was the sort of aspiration. But obviously, you start with baby steps first. So the baby steps was first, okay, let's get the ball rolling. So we started doing different experiments, pilots, and our approach is we won't have just one flagship, big, cool AI system somewhere. No, we want many of them in all different fields. So that was the mainstreaming approach. We wanted to get all departments, all sectors to try AI out. In this, you might guess where I'm heading to. We very quickly found out that data is the issue. And even if in Estonia we thought first that, look, we've been doing 20 years digital government, we have data. That has to be, and we were interoperable, by the way, largely, right? So you've heard about the X-rows and stuff and like that. So we were able to exchange data. I mean, we had the core of it down. Not enough. We found out clearly by trying to build those sort of, get the AI ball rolling, that we needed to get our work together on data governance. Why? For quality, for semantics, for all of that. So the next iteration of our AI strategy meant that we had to bring data governance as a specific pillar of our whole governmental AI approach and get to work seriously on doing the work on semantics and so forth. So literally, from what used to be a very technical topic, it became a strategic matter for us. And we had to build in resource, we had to build dedicated teams, we started doing trainings, I mean, the whole lot of things. So fundamentally, data governance became a crucial matter for us. Why? Because we wanted to be AI-driven as a government. One thing led to another. But here's my first sort of lesson from this. So, look, data governance, if you speak to any minister about this, forget about even ministers, you speak to senior leaders in government, you're going to lose them at 2 words, data governance. It's tedious, they don't understand it, it's even, boring for them. But what is my message here, and that's the message I'm happy to tell to any leader in the government, even if you consider this boring, it's a strategic thing. If it is a strategic thing, it's a leader's job. Leader's job is not to become a semantics expert. Leader's job is to make sure that the right sort of conditions are for the experts there to do their work, to get the sort of right sort of data governance in place, the right data quality in place, the right sort of, taxonomies and so forth in place. Leaders, we have to ask, do you have what you need? And make sure you have them so that we can have them, for example, AI in the end. So for us in Estonia, that meant also a very practical consideration. We started our data governance trainings and work from leadership. We started really going out to the senior executives in government and telling, this is your job. And you have to build up the framework, the procedures and stuff like that. I'm not going to sugarcoat you. It's not been easy, right? Even if I'm not in government anymore, then it still continues. It's still, because your people change, stuff like that. It takes time to drop this water on the stone, but it's a necessary thing to do, as we found out through hard practice in a way. So that's the one thing, that's the first story. Now from this, the really good news, I think this is driving this conference here as well, the really good news is that obviously, if we need better data governance, if we need better semantics as part of it, then, well, technology itself can be a lot of help, right? So my next story really is about this sort of new buzzword, AI for IOP. I'm borrowing this hashtag from this great report that just came out. I hope you've read it. I'm pretty sure that the authors might be in the audience here as well. Shout out to you guys, good job. If you really want to get into details of what does it mean, how can really technology itself help you to all this interoperability work better and greater, check this out. I'm not going to repeat the details from there. But what I want to say here is that I think the bottom line here is very promising. Often, especially again in sort of executives' minds, we get stuck with saying, look, we need to have proper semantics, we have to have good data governance in place. Okay, so how do you do that? Well, yeah, it's going to be complicated, it's going to be hard, it's going to be money, so many people involved. Usually the answer is it's hard. Well, technology can help. We've tried using tech for interoperability for decades, and look, people from Digit know this more than I do, and many of you. In a sense, in Estonia, for example, what was the key thing that made interoperability possible, technologically speaking? Having a data catalog. I mean, even simple as that, you can use technology itself to improve chances of interoperability. The good news is, as you see from the report, AI can do a lot of that too, right? And ChatGPT was mentioned in the opening words here. I think it's amazing of what new potential that has perhaps opened for us. But what is interesting here is two things. So how do you do this, AI for IOP? How do we really get to the point where we have the technological tools that some governments are trying, that we know that can exist? How do we get to that stage? What we found in Estonia, already in a sort of different area, is that that's where platforms come in. Platforms, look, digital identity is a platform. Digital identity is a platform, a common way to authenticate, with government services. Data exchange can be a platform, government portal, whatever. There's many platforms there. My point is that platforms accelerate adoption of digital services, creation of digital services as well. But platforms take a conscious approach, and I'll get to that. Platforms, you've heard of government as a platform approach, perhaps. In Estonia, we started down this path by accident. We didn't have a strategic effort at first. We had to start building things as a platform within our government because we didn't have enough money to do the same thing again and again. So that's how, for example, X-Road was born for interoperability and data exchange, because we didn't have enough money to do the integrations one by one. So we stumbled upon this. But as we saw the benefits of this, we made it a conscious effort to really build things as platforms for reuse throughout our government, to build services in next department, and so on. Now, as we had this experience from digital government, 20 years of that journey, we then took this experience with us when we started our AI strategy and uptake. And so what we started doing is saying, hey, okay, if we go around doing different use cases of AI in different ministries and so forth, each time, let's first think, can we build it so that it becomes a platform? Can we build the next chatbot in the next ministry so it actually becomes reusable as a model, as a component, as a toolkit, whatever, for the next ministry to use, or the next use case to use? Same thing with voice recognition and so forth. So this is like a list of, from some time a few years ago, for a list of common components that we're thinking about. And quite a few of them materialized. So, and departments started using them. So offering certain core components of AI applications really became a way to accelerate uptake of AI through the departments. So platforms do accelerate too. We saw this, if I bring you one example that has relevance for the semantic field too. Text Toolkit, that was a toolkit, that was the very first platform we built, application we built as a platform. It's basically a tool to run through a maze and a mass of text data and find patterns or so forth. For example, Estonian agencies use it to anonymize large chunks of data, like court records from personal data and whatever like that. But the same thing can be used to find patterns, of any kind, and so on. So my point being, it made us go ahead faster. The thing with platforms is that we all like them. We all want them. But we very rarely build them consciously. And this is what I've found through my works on the international scene as well, is that platforms often happen by accident. But if they're so useful, if they can really accelerate us, why do we leave them for accident? So to me, the leadership message here is that let's build things as platforms, and it takes dedicated work. In Estonian case, AI, common components, it was a conscious choice we made to build things this way. It was a conscious choice we made to run and keep building them this way. It was a conscious choice to say, hey, we go the platform way. And we had to put resources behind, we had to put teams behind, we had to, do the thing, really. So this is my message here as well, that if we want to tap into the promise that artificial intelligence itself can bring for interoperability and better sort of data for AI itself, we'd better build things as platform, and we have to put money that things are built and work as platforms. That they are reusable within our governments, between our governments, and that literally they become available like that. Otherwise, it's just going to be a nice chunk of code with scaling potential, but it's going to stay like that. And if I tease you a bit, if I really think about, let's say, where does AI as a technology stand right now, then we should really dream bold. Using AI for semantic work, for interoperability work, should be the same way as we use ChatGPT. Basically, small prompt goes in, output comes out, right? I know it's far off, but think about it. If you or any government servant has an app like that, I jokingly call it generative interoperability, that's the level of platform we should have. Basically, you want to build a service, you go in, quick word type in what you need, what sort of data you're looking for, or what sort of interoperability semantics you need fixed or whatever like that. That's the platform we should aim for. Platforms should accelerate us, but to get there, that takes dedicated work. And I guess that has inferences in a sense of where do we invest as governments, where do we invest the sort of joint Digital Europe money and so forth. But if you want to move fast, that can be the way forward. My third story takes us to why does this all matter? So why talk about the data matters, or why talk about platforms and stuff? In Estonia, when we started going for AI, okay, we started really going for the reasons that we classically went for all digital solutions in Estonia. Efficiency. Being as small as we are, we had to always find out ways to be as productive as we are as a public sector. So, and what had happened through the years was that obviously the next marginal efficiency gain of new iteration or new system was falling. Basically, the more we invested into tech, the next investment didn't bring us enough back anymore. That we were plateauing, right? AI opened up a new frontier to take the next full level again. So efficiency was driving us. But we quickly realized that there may be more than efficiency, and we weren't alone in this. Like the Finns were thinking the same thing next door to us and so forth. So we started really saying, hey, besides productivity, AI can radically change how we provide public services as a government, how people interact with us. So that led to this vision we brought out 2020 already on what's called bureaucrat. Basically, it's a vision about how in the age of AI public services can work, be offered, can be provided quite a bit differently. And what does it mean? What does different mean? Well, basically, think about a use case, think about a story that you have a passport. Your passport is about to expire. What happens then? At best, you get a proactive email currently from a government saying, hey, look, go apply somewhere. Instead, why doesn't your phone ping you and literally say, not just give you like a text message, but literally in voice say, hey, Siim, your passport's expiring. Do you want me to get you a new one? I say yes or no, and that's it. That's the sort of radical simplification of the interaction with the government that AI should allow us to build. That's what led to Aurora in Finland, that's what led to Bureaucrat in Estonia, and so forth. Basically, let's use AI-powered virtual assistants in our phones, in our cars, fridge, whatever, to then be the channel for using public services. And a channel whereby I get stuff done by voice, not texting or interfaces, something like that. Voice is our most natural way of interaction, right? I get it done in my own language. For Estonians, that's a big thing because, well, none of the big platforms supports Estonian language otherwise. And I get it done proactively. I don't have to wait for my passport to expire or go somewhere. Everything happens proactively. So we really didn't just stop at the vision. I mean, Bureaucrat became like a whole program that also now European funds are being used for, of course. So Bureaucrat is actually being built up, and one by one different use cases, pilots and stuff like that. What is the point here? Is that, look, that's the sort of radical change we can bring with AI to public services. But to make it happen, it's not just about building a cool Siri app, for example, for an iOS, or building like a good Android solution. What does it actually take for this dream to come true is interoperability of different AI systems and solutions, different AI agents. So if you think about the story that I had, look, my passport is expiring and I'm being asked if I want to get a new one. For that thing to work, the AI agent of whatever is the passport agency has to then somehow prompt my virtual assistant, which happens to be a private sector building probably, right? Or perhaps like an app, government app as a middleware. Then it has to take the same sort of interaction, machine-to-machine interaction back. Perhaps it needs to check if I am still a citizen. That's basically prompt to different registry, stuff like that. You see, like a whole network of AI solutions has to actually work together invisibly in the back end for this radically simple interaction for me as a citizen with my government to happen. So what I'm trying to get to is that if we want to build the best possible future of public services with AI, then we have to build interoperability of AI. Domestically, this is easier said than done, of course. Domestically, we had to start quite special streams of interoperability work for that, right? But what is the beauty of, and why I talk about this here, is that clearly we've had this European dream, right? And most probably there will be AI agents, and there already are AI agents and bots and things in all of our countries. But we want people to move between the countries. Remember, this is the single market, right? So clearly, if we will be and want to be interoperable in AI and domestically, the logical extension is that we have to be that across the borders. And to me, that leads to sort of clear realization, and again, perhaps if you wish, like an insight or learning, we need to put our focus and attention to that. We've done great work in SEMIC, in CIO networks, with digits and stuff, in interoperability overall. Yes, indeed, there's a new act coming, which I think is a strategic change, and it was going to be a strategic change even without AI. But it's even more important now with AI, and to realize this promise of cross-border, proactive, connected, AI-based public services. So, what I want to finish up with is to say that these were some of the things I think I learned along the way. And if you want Europe to really benefit from AI, if you want Europe really to benefit from AI in public services, like we spoke about, then clearly we have to start building up and using the great potential of AI for interoperability. That takes the effort to build those things as platforms, make things as easy to use as platforms. And it takes from us, in our governments, to take data governance and semantic work seriously. It's not the job of some specialist in the basement somewhere anymore. It's a strategic matter. Thank you.